Campaign updates. These are very important. They will sustain your campaign throughout its length and afterwards. I think one good suggestion is that you work on some updates before launching, because especially the first couple of days, if everything is going well, they're going to be so packed with things to do that you won't have time to write updates from scratch. And maybe I'm a bit overabundant with updates, but it is common to have 2 or 3 updates even just the first day, because things tend to move fast if you've been working well. So here I'm trying to give you an idea what kind of updates you can do, and then I will tell you why I break my own rules. So I think we can divide them in 3 types: timeless, reactive, and time sensitive. The reason why I say that I break my own rules is that you can mix them, and what works for me is that every update has a bit of everything. But let's see what I mean with that. You can group them by main focus, so they can be mostly text, they can be mostly audio, for example if you're sharing a soundtrack or some podcast interview, for example, or they can be video if you have a video to show. And again, here you can mix them, and that's what I do mostly because it works for me, and I tend to have a lot of stuff to say every time. But that's not the case for every campaign, so you might want to focus on one specific thing. Let's check what I mean with these categories. So timeless updates. These are updates that you can prepare in advance, mostly in advance, like 95% ready. It doesn't matter exactly when you publish them. They are excellent fillers that you can drop anytime you feel that, oh, it's been a while since the last update, maybe I should drop something. So these are the ones that you can work on in advance. They can have details about your game, details on the rewards that you're offering during the campaign, the backstory of the product, how it came to be, or who are the people behind the product, who's in your team, and what is their biography. You can feature someone else's project if you have some kind of cross promotion. I used this with all the guests on my previous campaign. It worked well. I hope that they were featured several times. They were featured before the campaign started because I announced the guests beforehand. They were featured during the campaign, and in the end I made a recap with, again, all the things, the cool things these people are working on, and because they've been helping so much during the campaign. Reactive updates, the name says it all. They are published in reaction to what happens during the campaign. These you cannot work on in advance. You need to wait and see what happens and then write something as a reply to what just happened. They can be info about the stretch goals that have been unlocked. Well, in theory, you can prepare some information about the stretch goals, but you don't know exactly when they will be unlocked. So that's the reactive part of it. You can maybe change information about shipping, taxes, or other campaign costs that change during the month that you're running the campaign. You can ask people to send you questions and answer their questions. You can forecast some of them, but in general, you need to actually wait for real people to ask you questions before you can answer them. And also you can show the community that their input matters. So if they contact you through your Discord server or the campaign comments or wherever they write, you can tell them, hey, we've been reading your feedback, we're working on it. So these are important to be on top of. And then there are the time-sensitive updates. They are published at specific dates because something is happening. It could be announcing an event that takes place during a specific date range, a community initiative that was spawned during the campaign, or maybe was something you planned before. You can announce a surprise if you know that the day before the last, we're going to have a big surprise that will bring people in, so you know that that's going to be the date when you publish that. Or, marking milestones, maybe it's 48 hours from the end, that kind of time-sensitive update. So certain things that happen at a specific point in time, you can kind of see it in advance. Sometimes it's something that is decided while the campaign is running. So here's an example of what we did with Broken Tales. I sent 28 updates over 20 days. Now, this is not normal. Many campaigns send less than this. I do find that the campaigns that do not put any effort on updates are very uninteresting to follow. And you might think that this amount of updates is too much, and I'm sure some of our backers would agree with that. But what I found out is that because they are so personal and they're so common, and actually I try to give some value in what is written in the updates, they don't feel like a company is writing to people. It feels like people are writing to people. I think we also got quite a bit of fans, and some people even complained when I stopped sending updates that the campaign was over. They're like, oh, what are we gonna do now that we don't get our daily update? So it worked for us. I think I will continue to do it in the future. As a general rule, I would say do not send more than one a day. And I'm breaking my own rules because so much was happening during that campaign. We were unlocking way more than expected, and the community was really positive, and they took part to every challenge we did. So we had so much stuff to discuss. It was really hard to, because you also don't want to make these updates too long, and mine are long by default. So you kind of need to split them. One suggestion I can give you, if you have something really important, just focus on that single issue. I had to do this a couple of times because sometimes we were sending so many updates and they were so long that some important information got lost. And I'll give you an example in a moment. So all of them were mixed. I didn't send almost any that was focused on one thing, except I think there was a couple of cases. So I've been trying to figure out, okay, what was the main focus here? As I mentioned, all of them were mixed in the end. But if I have to kind of split them, I would say that 12 were reactive, 6 were time sensitive, and 10 were timeless. So this 10 would be the one that you are able to somewhat work in advance. I think I prepared 3 or 4. I didn't do more than that. Because, well, also it's a lot of work. So it is good to spread it over the duration of the campaign, but the more you can do in advance, the less you have to do during the campaign. So I've been trying to go through, you can check the campaign page for Broken Tales if you want to go and check exactly what was inside every update. They're all public. I don't do this thing that they're locked for backers unless it's something really that no one else should access to. But so far they're all public. I've been trying to summarize what was the thing there. So let's go through them. The first one was thanking the first backers, announcing that the campaign is already funded because it funded in 10 minutes. Then basically almost every other update has unlocked and upcoming stretch goals, because every time what I was doing was telling what was unlocked and what were the next ones. And these mechanics kind of worked really well, so people knew that there was always something new coming and they were excited about that. Then what I added in the second one was a team intro. The bio on the campaign takes a lot of space, and I moved it very quickly to just updates because it's nice to know who's behind the game, but it's not vital for any of the backers. So you can move it very quickly to just an update, and then when people ask, okay, but who's behind this game, you can send them to that specific update. In the third one, beside the unlocked and upcoming stretch goals, I did also an intro to one of the guests. In the fourth one, I did a scenario synopsis, and I announced a new add-on. Scenario synopsis, it worked really well for us because the game features some specific scenarios that are based on fairy tale. So I try to tell, okay, this scenario is about this, and for many updates I had one of those, and we have plenty, so it created a lot of content. You can think about your game in that way. It's like, if I had to split it in small chunks, I could describe a little chunk of the game in every update, so people learn more about the game with every update, and I also have something to say, right? Then we have, like in the 5th, we have news about shipping, an intro to guest. I'm not going to repeat that. We're going to have unlocked and upcoming stretch goals because that's pretty much all the updates. In the 6th, we had another scenario, new art, intro to another guest. We featured a project from this guest. Then again, scenario synopsis, another scenario synopsis, project feature. On the 9th, we offer some details on production. If I remember correctly, this one was about one upgrade for the physical item that had been unlocked as a stretch goal. And I just wanted to show people how it would look on the final product. So I took some pictures of other games. Actually, it was a record that I had at home that had the same effect on the cover. And I took pictures to show what we were going for. That's useful because sometimes some of these upgrades that you do are really hard to communicate in text or video or even pictures because, well, sometimes you just need to touch stuff. Then on the 10th, we introduced a community challenge, and we had one of these each week. So to keep people busy with fun stuff. When we knew that, okay, the campaign is going well, we can have fun now. I think if I remember correctly, this update was called Let's Have Fun. Then again, scenario synopsis. Then I asked people, hey, send me your questions. I'm going to make some videos to answer them. Many people took part. And in the next two updates, I posted a video about replying to these questions in two parts. In the number 14, I also posted an interview that somebody I was guest in a show, so I posted the interview there. Then when we go to the second part of the updates, so there was this question about, do you want art prints for these things that we are making? But I made a mistake there because I included the survey inside another longer update, and many people kind of didn't read about it. That they just skimmed through it. They didn't click the link. So the result of the survey was very poor. But then people started complaining like, no, we really want this. Like, you just didn't format the survey in the proper way. It was also formatted in a weird way where the survey was about two different things, and the part that people kind of missed was in the second page that you couldn't see at a glance. It was done wrong. So people started complaining like, no, we really want those, just do another survey and do it better. So I said, okay, maybe I made a mistake. I do another survey, and then all of a sudden we had hundreds of people interested in this thing. So sometimes you need also to think, am I asking the right questions here? The answers that I'm getting, what are they suggesting? That they are not interested, or that I'm not asking the right question? That's very important. In the number 17, we added something that the community requested, a new game mode. People wanted to be able to play the game by themselves. So I started discussing with Alberto, the author of the game, like, hey, can we do this? And then we come up with a way that it would work. And then we added it as a stretch goal. So that's what I mean when I say that sometimes you do need to respond to what the community wants, because you might not even come up yourself with that idea. Then we had another community challenge, more scenario synopsis. We added the new add-on that was the result of the second survey, the one that people actually voted for. Then on number 22, this was close to the end of the campaign. I made a summary of all the things that have been unlocked. Where do they go? What do you need to purchase to get everything? Because it started to get quite confusing. We had so many stretch goals. I think we ended up with 41. People lose track, of course, because I have troubles keeping track. So you cannot ask backers to know more than you. And at some point, I needed to make a summary so people would know if you buy this, you will get this. If you buy this, you will get that. Then here at number 23, it's one of these updates that I focused on one single issue. Sometimes you have to do this for very important things. What happens after the campaign ends? Don't take for granted that people know what happens. So it is important that you explain to them that the campaign is gonna end, your cards are gonna be charged. If there's some problem with the payment, you will get an email from Kickstarter, blah blah blah. We're gonna open the pledge manager as soon as possible, that kind of stuff. If you want the details, just go in the campaign and check update number 23, Broken Tales, and see how I did it. That's not the only way, but I do suggest that you have this kind of update a few days before the end of the campaign, so people get in the right state of mind to know what happens when the campaign is over. Then more stretch goals. I think the number 24 was about the final stretch. Number 25 is an announcement. Hey, there's only 48 hours left now. If you have some friends that want to get in, tell them now, because this is the time. Then on number 26, as I mentioned, I did summary of all the guests of the campaign, where you can find them, what are their projects. I thought it was a nice way to thank them for them taking part of the campaign. And then 27, we announced a last stretch goal that we also unlocked. And the very last update before the campaign ended was the story of Broken Tales and how it came to be. It's a nice story. I hadn't told it before, and I thought it was a nice way to wrap it up. It's like, hey, we started really small. Actually, we didn't plan this to become so big. This is how it started, and it was just an update to thank everybody and tell how this project evolved from being really small to being something so big.